You're listening to the Empire Network.
This is Star Wars Wastelands, and you are listening to us on the Empire Network or live recording on Channel 1138. I'm your host this evening, McMahon, and it's truly a pleasure to be here with all of our fine listeners across all of the galaxies. Joining us tonight is our usual panel of derelicts and miscreants and hooligans and, you know, the usual suspects. Mondo, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing tonight, man?
A little queasy, but I'll get through.
Man, that sucks. I had jury duty today, so.
Did you go 30 Rock on it?
No, it was
wear the Princess Leia costume and pretend you're in the Empire.
No, I'll tell you what though. It was not to get too whatever, but it so it started off. It was really boring, like jury duty is. But it's as an American citizen, it is my civil duty, and it's something I do take very seriously. But it was really funny. A judge got up in front of everybody, probably a couple hundred of us, and gave this long thing and said, "You know what? People fight for your right to do this, right? And this is a part of being an American citizen, and you can lie your way out of here. You can retard your way out of here. Sorry if that offends anybody, but it's what he said, and he's right.
You quote. You can find this judge somewhere in the Texas judiciary.
Yeah, but he's absolutely right. You could play dumb and get excused, but then he came back and asked, does that not take away from doing your duty as an American citizen? And the looks on certain people's faces that you could tell had already planned on going in, fry him, kill him. Texas has a death penalty, so that makes more sense if you know that. You just look on their face like, oh man, this guy's on to me. Just the look on people's faces was just hysterical.
I'm sure most judges see that look all across the modernized world. But I think that's enough of Mondo's jury duty tales. Sage, how you doing?
I'm doing, man. I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing something.
Well, I sure hope you figure it out before, you do something wrong.
No, that's probably already happened.
Well, safe bet.
I pressed the big red button.
Never press the big red button.
But I like to press the big red button.
Unless Tommy Lee Jones tells you to press the big red button, you don't press the big red button.
But why not? That's like the funnest thing to do is to push that big red button.
Well, do you know what the big red button does?
No, that's what makes it fun.
Exactly. How do you know that big red button doesn't explode the universe?
Bye.
Sounds like a good button to press.
I'm sure there are millions of people who disagree, but then I'm sure there are millions of people who agree. So, I guess it depends on which side of the take over the world coin you fall on.
But if you take over the world, you push the button, there's no world to take over because it's gone.
Okay, I think our intergalactic takeover plans are good. Jake, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
What are you getting from Subway tonight, Slick?
Nothing actually. Just hanging out with a friend.
Oh,
I could actually hear the air quotes in that, Jake.
In reference to a correspondence between me and Johnny earlier that I didn't respond to actually, but it's funny, Johnny, funny.
I try, Jake. I try.
Yeah.
I thought they're thinking, oh god, he hasn't responded. Did I actually manage to offend this man? No, this is Jake. He can't be offended.
Quote unquote correspondence. Hey, I'll be
that's
right back.
I wrote him a letter, sent it by carrier pigeon, and that's how we communicate here on the Wastelands crew.
That's how hipsters communicate nowadays.
That's how we do it.
Next time I'm in line, or I'll tell you what. Next time I'm at a restaurant and a waiter comes to our table, and I know Alicia wants, I'm gonna say, "Hey, My correspondents would like some more soda. Hook it up.
No, that's the colleague. The correspondence is what I sent him.
Yeah.
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 So it's your colleague.
I know.
But correspondence doesn't work because that's the method of communication.
Me and Jolly, me and Jolly had a colleague.
I am a jolly dude, so.
Hey, is that her name, Jolly? Is her lunch name Rancher?
Okay, let's try and. Fisherman has his poll. He's reeling us back in.
Yeah, let's
get
move
down
on to the first order.
Business, huh?
Sounds like a plan. Okay, so first up is the Star Wars RP that we told you about. Look for it on Facebook next week.
In stores.
Finger's been put to keyboard, and we should have something public, such as a character sheet, and a bunch of other goodies, rules, and the intro post available for everybody next week.
Nice.
Next up, the Force Bowl. We were supposed to get back to it last week. Schedules prevented that from happening. The Force Bowl will continue next week, and we will have our massive conclusion and see who the Force champion is for 2016. Which moves us right into the top 3 Star Wars games that you have played prior to the PS2 or the Xbox. So just a review. Your top 3 in any order you want.
Dig deep, Jake.
This pretty much counts me out.
Okay, your top 3 Star Wars games prior to the PS2 or the Xbox.
PS3 or Xbox 360, you mean, right?
No.
Original, OG.
So you're looking at PS1, N64,
and older.
Sega Dreamcast, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, regular Nintendo, and any Sega Saturn, and any old game consoles you can think of.
Oh, okay. This isn't actually as bad.
No, this is actually quite easy.
Yeah, so let's start off with Mondo.
It's not as hard as you think it is.
Mondo, you're up.
All right. So this is actually really easy for me. So the first one I'm going to put with Star Wars 32X. I touched on this a little bit last week. It was a game for the Sega Genesis add-on 32X system. It was a lot of fun. You basically got to play the trench run over and over again, and there was a mode you could actually do it with alternate ships, I believe. So you could actually do it with like a Y-wing if you wanted to, which was a terrible idea, but it was different. It was fun. I mean, it actually had like a first-person view too, which for its time was actually kind of cool. Second, I'm going to go with Pod Racer for the 64 because I just always loved those. But better yet, I love the arcade version of that game. Where you actually had the thrusters and you had to turn and fight the thing. It was actually a fun game for me. I don't know why. And then number 3, I'm going to have to put Rogue Squadron on there. You can't go wrong with that game. Like, to this day, I wish they would remake a version of that game. That was 3, right?
Yes. Jake, how about you?
Alright, number 3, it's going to be a little lame, but, I mean, it's about all I can do right now. It was this handheld game. It wasn't elaborate by any stretch of the imagination. It wasn't like Nintendo or anything. It was just a very simple setup, very Atari-ish, but it was a game where you were a Naboo N1 starfighter, and it was just versus the Trade Federation, and they would have varying levels of different difficulties, as most games do, and it was fun. It kept me occupied, and I don't know where it is to this day, probably in a bin somewhere, but I'd probably play it again if I dug it out. That's number 3. Number 2 was actually a game for PlayStation 1. It was The Phantom Menace, and I don't know if any of you guys have played The Phantom Menace for PS1, but I found it enjoyable back when PS1. Of course, I didn't have the critical mind that I do now to judge it on any criteria or anything, but at the time I found it really fun. It was immersive. You could upgrade your character, get different weapons, upgrades, that type of thing, and just push your way through the different locations from the Phantom Menace. And one in particular that I really enjoyed was a level in Otagunga. It was really fun because you could just travel through the tubes of that underwater city. And obnoxious motorcycle. And that was a lot of fun. And then number one, I can't remember if I had this for PS1 or not. I think I did, but didn't the original Star Wars Lego come out for PS1, or was that a PlayStation 2 release?
I
think it was PS2. What's
That's
that?
a PS2 release.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, I'm disqualified.
I'm sure.
The fact you got 2 despite your age is kudos.
Yes, kudos to Jake. Fizz, how about you?
All right, number 3, Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire, N64.
Everybody's stealing my picks.
Number 2, Super Star Wars. I lump the trilogy because you can't really just pick one. If I did, it'd probably be Empire. And number 1, Rogue Squadron. It's just awesome game.
How many awesomes?
Not enough, Jake. Not enough.
All right. Well, did you have a favorite?
Of those 3, Rogue Squadron. That was the favorite. I mean, it's still a game I could pick up and play to this day. I wish I had the cartridge.
Okay. So, you want to know what's not on my list? Jedi Power Battles. I'm shocked that was on Mondo's list. Or Bombad Racing. Terrible games that Mondo loved.
That's the
No,
best.
see, I will admit, I did like Jedi Power Battles because it kind of had that
God.
arcadey feel to
Because it had the purple lightsaber.
It wasn't even just that. It just had like this really fun kind of platformy, kind of arcadey style feel to it. Bombad Racing is one of the few games I've ever returned to a store. All joking aside, that game was utter garbage. Like I don't know what kind of jacked up high monkey they got to think of that game, but no.
I thought it was a stroke of genius.
All right, so for me, since you guys pretty much post my games here, my top 3 have already been mentioned. Third would have been Shadows of the Empire, fantastic game. A game cover of the book, which happens in between episodes 2 and 3. Pardon me, 5 and 6. Dash Rendar. What a convenient name. No, it was a good game. It was solid. I liked it. Number 2 would have been Rogue Squadron. It was really good. And number 1 would have been the Phantom Menace game for PS1. That by far was the best Star Wars movie game. It had everything. And that game was a real bleep at times to get past certain things. I remember just absolutely being stuck on this one level towards the end. You're on Coruscant with Panaka. I couldn't figure out how to get across this beam thing with Panaka. I'd
Wait, what
search
game was it?
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace for PS1.
Oh, nice.
But honorable mention for me, since you guys took all mine, would be Star Wars Rebel Assault 2. It was a double disc game for the PS1. You got to be the Falcon, you got to be soldiers. The game sort of took you everywhere. It was a lot of fun.
Sweet.
Double disc game. Man, I don't miss those days of having to switch discs.
Oh, you're talking about... Are you talking about the game that actually had the actual cinematic cutscenes in it?
Yes.
Yes.
That is Rebel
actually,
Assault 2.
Yes, I still have that game, and you did a little bit of everything. You got to fly like the Millennium Falcon. You kind of had some shooting parts.
Yeah.
I still have that. It's like one of the... What was stupid about that game, though, is it was super short, and it had 2 discs.
Yeah.
Like
Well, come on now. Just remember the size of the disc, and let's not forget they had legit cutscenes in there.
Like you,
Okay, that took up like half a disc right there just for 2 minutes.
I know, but I think you could actually complete that game in about less than an hour and a half, and that might be generous.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh
That
man,
seems a bit far-fetched.
no, I actually that was one of the last games I remember playing on that.
I remember like when the cutscenes would happen back then. I was like, "Oh, awesome! This is cool." And now looking back at the cutscenes, it's oh my god, what were they thinking? No wonder LucasArts is out of business. Anyways, that is the first order of business for this week. Let's move on to the HoloNet.
Just pounding through.
Yeah, Fizz. What do we have here in the HoloNet this week?
Well, we're going to jump right into the HoloNet with some news that's not really news, but Episode 8 has officially begun principal filming.
What?
Yeah.
What, you mean there's an episode 8?
I do.
After the
I thought they were
tremendous...
just doing 7 and being done with it.
I know what happened. Like, after that tremendous success, you would think they would have just hung up their boots and just been done.
You mistake us for Avatar.
Avatar
The ending was just satisfying enough to never make another Star Wars movie again.
Could you imagine if Episode 7 was like the last Star Wars ever, and it ended the way that it ended?
Zero sense. Like, okay, Snoke is where now? Kylo, what happened to Kylo? What?
I think the bigger question would be Luke, because, you see him for all of, 30 seconds.
Okay, so Luke's alive, but he's...
Okay, speaking of which, have you guys... This is a little bit later on, but have any of you guys actually taken the time to watch the How It Should Have Ended Star Wars Episode 7 clip?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we're gonna watch it in the Outer Rim segment with everybody here. But I thought it was hilarious. It was funny.
It was
I love the How It Should Have Ended series.
Nothing beats the undercover boss thing for me.
Oh, that's going to be nearly impossible to top yet. Adam Driver in it.
That better be on the Blu-ray. Just saying.
Funko Pop posted a picture. It looks like they're going to be coming out with a Matt the Radar Technician.
Was that a legit one? I mean, I've seen the picture floating around of Matt the Radar Tech Funko, but
I believe
I just assumed it was a custom job from someone.
Because Funko actually posted that themselves.
See, I didn't. I'd seen it through hundreds of different shares. And just
Matt the Technician was an unlockable character in The Force Awakens Lego.
I'm going to bet he probably will be.
Yeah.
But I have a question. Is that canon?
Hey, why not?
Head canon.
Luke
It's Lego canon. That's good enough, okay? The Indiana Jones was in the Lego Star Wars game, so, we're okay to kind of delve out of canon. Out of strict canon. I mean, you won't see Matt the Radar Tech in the story.
I think the point of was anything can be canon, because if that's canon, then everything in the Lego movie is canon. You got the Millennium Falcon with Batman. I mean, whatever.
With Chewie and Lando.
Yeah, it's the best. It's canon.
Now, that actually is a good question. I know this is a little off topic, but I know that they'd actually come out with some Lego Star Wars movies. I think there's a trilogy of them.
Yeah.
Are those considered canon?
No.
They're good, though. They're self-aware, which
they're,
I like.
They're not considered canon. Anyways, fishing this back onto topic here. Episode 8's begun principal photography, so that is exciting, even though the movie has been backed up. I have to start taking bets on what happens first, Episode 8 or CM Punk's UFC debut.
You guys
I'm going to go with Punk's UFC debut, because I'm still expecting that in the summer.
Yeah, it sounds like it'll be the summer still, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's move on to the next topic. Sorry, what was that, Jake?
Did you read John Boyega's tweet today?
No, I didn't.
I heard he tweeted something interesting, but I didn't actually get a chance to read it.
He's like, oh, looks like it's time to bring my Han Solo, or something about my action figure for the whole cast to sign again.
Yeah, I believe he's got one of those 32-inch Han Solo stormtroopers without the helmet.
Actually, let's dive into something here. There's some speculation that Finn is going to wield a lightsaber in the next movie because he's been doing some more sword training. I don't think there's a chance Finn is wielding a lightsaber in the next movie. I think he'll wield, sort of like what the Riot dude had, or a vibroblade, or something of that sort. He'll have the option to wield, but he's not going to be wielding a lightsaber. I would bet my bottom dollar on it.
See, is there a chance? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Number of things.
I'm saying there's no chance. There's more of a chance of Matt the Radar Technician being canon than Finn using a lightsaber in this next... Finn having his own lightsaber in this next film.
See, that's two different things, though. I mean, he can wield a lightsaber and not have his own.
So whose lightsaber is he going to wield?
Could be a scene.
He's not unaccustomed to picking one up in the heat of battle.
Ray's going to have to share.
I mean,
Ray's going to share.
There could be a scene where Ray gets knocked out and Finn has to pick it up. I mean,
if one of those things that a lot of people have suggested is if Ray does dual wield or have a double bladed, that could perhaps come apart.
Yeah, I think that
in
that thing has
form.
sort of.
So it's not out of the realm that I suppose in the correct circumstance they could, share. But
it ain't happening.
I'm not betting on it anyway.
Turn around, say it again.
Why can't he just want to learn how to use a lightsaber?
Well, he's not a Jedi.
So?
Ryder's Han Solo.
Han Solo cut open a tauntaun. Come on.
Well, I was more referring to the comic, but
maybe
that too.
Episode 8's just gonna have a lot of tauntauns and gotta get cut open. Finn's
Episode 8, Massacre of the Tauntaun.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. I like that title.
They're gonna make a spin-off movie just titled Tauntauns.
I don't know, since in order for him to, have to cut open a tauntaun, I think it's more likely to be a wampa. You'd need all that room for 3 people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Finn and Ray look awful chummy.
Maybe so, but you got Poe too, so it has to be a wampa.
Maybe not. Depends how chummy.
All right, let's move on. So, Christian Harloff from Jedi Council, Collider Movie Talk, and Jake's boss. Sorry, I have to drop that anytime I can. Is reporting his sources have told him that Jake, correct me if I'm getting this wrong.
Oh, you're getting it wrong.
Shut up. If you have to ask, you're getting it wrong.
I just read the report today that on the set of, he believes it to be episode 8, there is a spot for Ewan McGregor's wardrobe.
Oh, okay.
This obviously wouldn't come to as a massive surprise, but it would be a nice sort of step forward for us, those that want Obi-Wan back in some way. Jake, since you have ties with the man, tell us now.
Well, I don't know anything about.
Way to drop the ball there, buddy.
I was at the Mark Ellis's Super Bowl shindig thing, and of course Christian Harloff and Mark Ellis were there. John Campea didn't show up, by the way. Him and John Schnepp.
We actually lost Jake in mid-sentence there.
Wow.
Okay, well, I'll cover for him. John Schnepp wouldn't be caught dead at a Super Bowl party. Just
Is
throwing
he a
that out
Cowboys
there.
fan? Is that why?
No, he doesn't like football. So
I'm not a big soccer fan, but I go to a World Series party if there was enough alcohol and friends.
Wait, hold on. Why are you going to
Mondo.
a World Series party for
Mondo.
soccer? One's baseball and...
I'm out World Cup. Long day. Long day.
Now you effed up.
Not really. I had jury duty
Okay,
today.
we'll have
That's
Jake
my
back in a
excuse
couple
for everything.
minutes.
We'll have Jake back. He's asking Ellis and Harloff if he's allowed to be on the show still.
He's like, oh crap, you know what? Maybe I should have got permission first.
They found out he's giving up state secrets.
I was going to say, they just texted him a picture of loose lips sink ships.
He's got to get a permission slip from his boss.
Anyhow, though, Obi-Wan, Episode 8, not confirmed, purely a rumor. What's everyone think of this, Fizz?
I mean, I like it, as long as it's contextually appropriate. I mean, obviously, I love Ewan, and I really want to see him as Obi-Wan again, so I'm all for it in whatever form, but it has to make sense. I've said that right from the jump. If he's going to appear in the sequel trilogy, it has to make sense. So I'm, like most, I'm assuming Force Ghosts, which, hey, I'm all for that any day of the week, as long as it makes sense in the story. And hey, what better way to reveal my Rey's really a Kenobi thing than to have him show up as a ghost? So.
Yeah, still not happening. But
If it does, I'm going to be the weird guy in the theater standing up pointing at you like, I told you! I told you!
And then you will be escorted out and probably tased.
Sit down before we sit
We're in
you down.
Canada, Mondo. I will be politely asked to sit down and please shut my trap.
Not in the Star Wars film.
Yeah,
you
I'm
will
with
not,
Mondo on this one.
You will be tased by someone in the audience.
Sit down or you'll never be allowed to have poutine again.
That might be more appropriate than being tased. I mean, we're Canada. Do we even have tasers in Canada?
Or somebody will stand up, look at you, and say, "Sit down," or Allard's going to sit on your face.
Oh, well, then he's going to stand up.
You mistake me for you, kind sir.
So let me ask you this. Do we see Obi-Wan appear as what he looked like in Episode 3, if this happens? Or do we see them try to age Ewan McGregor, as close to Alec Guinness as they can, and that's the route they go?
I think they go middle of the line. Like, somewhere kind of in the middle. Truthfully, it would be... I mean, I'm not going to say it'd be hard, but... I don't know. I mean... If you have Ewan McGregor, you go with Ewan McGregor. Go with his look. Go with his likeness. Go with what you remember him from. Age him a little bit. I mean, and honestly, you've got, a little over a decade of natural aging anyway. So
even though he doesn't look like he's aged at all in the last decade.
He's one of those people that just stops aging.
But
Like Sam Jackson.
But I mean,
I'm Ewan McGregor. I ride my motorcycle. I don't age.
I mean, I'm sure they can give him maybe do some gray hair and, something, kind of age him up a little bit. But I wouldn't go overboard. I would kind of do somewhere in between.
So you don't want them to make him try to make him look as close to Alec Guinness as they can?
No, because I think that's not Ewan McGregor. At that point, you have him more as in a film, and it'd be weird to see someone that looks closer to Sir Alec Guinness, but sound like Ewan McGregor. See what I'm saying? Like...
No, I can get on board with that.
I mean, I think you have to have some sort of... there has to be some sort of separation. So I think if you do somewhere toward the middle, show the age, but I mean, I'm really excited about it, though. I mean, not surprised at all, but it's exciting just to see that you're not just bringing back, hopefully... an older character, but they're also, in a way, kind of making a callback to the prequels, and I'm not opening the door for the prequel hate or anything like that, but I think it's really cool.
Damn, I was just getting my boots on.
Anybody that prequel hates in terms of Obi-Wan needs to be slapped.
Amen.
I don't understand. Jake, have you got your permission slip?
Yes.
Yeah.
Has Ellis, Schnepp, and Harloff signed off on you being on the show? Or did they tweet you loose lips sync shifts?
It's not up to them. No, they ruined my internet connection. They didn't want me talking.
They use their connections, Jake. They have those, I'm sure.
No, all I was going to say
Schnepp
is
and
I
his
was
damn sweaties.
sitting on the couch. Christian was there, and he showed me a picture of I don't know if you follow him on Instagram at all, but it was just it was a picture of face meld of Ewan McGregor and Alec
Yes,
Guinness.
I've seen this. Yep.
But he tagged it along with a thing saying that it sounds like he's either going to be in. I forget what the caption was, but it was a rumor. So
Yep.
I don't know if that's furthered or what, but
That's the last I heard was a rumor. Fizz, what's your take? Do they make if he's in it? Do they make him look as close to Alec Guinness as they can, or do they sort of just say,
No, I don't see them. I mean, I'm sure they'll use some techniques to age him. I mean, Mondo suggested,
yeah,
graying out his hair a little bit and things like that. I can absolutely buy. Maybe, maybe a wrinkle or two, since he doesn't naturally have those yet.
because he's such a beautiful man.
I
his
could
damn
see maybe,
motorcycle.
I could see maybe some things like that, but we're not going to have Alec Guinness with Ewan McGregor's voice. We're not going to have that.
And despite what other people say, I am of the opinion that he looks enough like Alec Guinness already. I don't know why they need to change anything major. I mean,
Oh,
Like-
he absolutely does. If you
Especially
watch
with
the
the
making
beard.
of, if you watch
Yeah.
the making of episode 3,
Yeah,
they say the
that's
most important facial features on a guy,
a
any
triangle.
person, is that triangle in the center of the face there.
Mhm.
And Ewan McGregor's and Alec Guinness's
They're
are
identical.
virtually identical.
Yeah. And
I feel
know,
a little
just-
weird that you say the triangle and I don't know what you mean.
it's between I think it's the eyes and the bottom of the nose. Like, if all that included the eyes and then the bottom of the
Yeah.
nose. Yeah. If you can imagine that
Jake's doing his
triangle.
homework.
Well, I
Eyes,
watched the
cheeks,
making.
nose. Eyes, cheeks, nose.
Yeah.
There's there's a symmetry to it that they really like you to
That's
have.
actually the word
Yeah.
the word they use in the making, the symmetry. Mondo's doing his homework too. And it doesn't involve donuts.
But that's
It
what had
doesn't.
originally convinced
But
me.
he
that-
did it while eating
I'm eating a
donuts,
donut right
so
now.
It,
I did. So what? Eat me.
He just might. Here's my theory.
Whoa.
I think it'd be amazing to see Obi-Wan and Luke on screen together again.
Mhm.
Or Obi-Wan and Yoda again.
Some class.
Conversing with one another. And might happen. However, my theory is their way around it is you have Obi-Wan appear to Rey as Obi-Wan from Episode 3. And the reason he's able to, or, close to it, and the reason he's able to do that is because, Rey has never seen Obi-Wan.
Mhm.
So,
that we know of.
So, she wouldn't necessarily have to identify with, here's this, near 60-year-old man who's broken down and can hardly move. I think it would depend on who the person is that sees the ghost. Who's to say that every ghost looks the same to every force spirit looks the same to each person?
I just always assumed they all look the same.
I mean, they're a spirit. One would think they'd be able to alter their appearance.
Oh, now you're making the rules for the spirit world, huh? I think they'll tell you what the rules are.
Well, I think they broke the rules when Anakin came back as young Anakin. So,
That's called editing.
hey, I like the change. I said before you
That's
joined the
called
party.
meddling.
That's called George Lucas wasn't happy with the original, so he wanted to change it to make it his own.
I thought it was a good change. I liked it. Always
Me too,
have.
honestly. Yep.
Anyway, I don't think we're going to see them try to do anything drastic with you, and I think he'll appear as is, and they might, if I don't think Larry Kasdan has anything to do with the episode 8 script writing. I mean, he might be an advisor or something for Rian Johnson, but it wouldn't surprise me if they chalked it up to, well, the fans can come up with why he looks this way. You get Obi-Wan, we're not going to dive into why he looks this way or doesn't look that way.
Yeah.
Let's move on. I believe it was the Disney shareholder meeting, Mr. Bob Iger, very rich man, stated, I don't know if this was today or yesterday, that the Han Solo film is not switching to a December release and will stay with the May 2018 release, barring any setbacks, of course.
Love it.
I like it, and it sort of kills that theory that Star Wars is, at least for now, it kills the theory that Disney's completely sold it on it has to be December, because clearly that's not the case at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, I like it. It makes sense. It keeps. I mean,
It puts you in range for 2 Star Wars movies in 6 months again.
exactly. Which if people feel and are going to feel shortchanged with this whole change with Episode 8 and whatnot, not having we don't get Rogue One in Episode 8 in the space of 6 months. Oh well, whatever. We're going to get that later down the road. At this point, though, it's a good move. Although it doesn't mean that they won't change it later for any number of reasons. I think it gives them a good cushion if they want to change it. But we'll see. I guess time will tell.
I'm kind of with Ben here in the chat, who's pretty much said exactly what Jake just said there on the end. Just because they didn't move it now doesn't mean they won't. So until we get to that, until we're 8-9 months out from the scheduled release, if it hasn't been moved yet, then I'll start. Hey, all right, we're staying in May.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, but they're not going to blatantly lie to the shareholders either. If
They're not.
If they're saying that, we're staying in May. Doesn't mean that they're definitely staying in May, but it definitely means that that is their intent. They're not going to blatantly lie to their shareholders.
It's all in the phrasing of it, right? I mean, without an exact quote, it's hard to say that. Because, I mean, if you phrase it, we're currently still scheduled for a May release, then,
There's an exact quote. He says that it'll be out in May. But, I mean, anything could happen to set back production. It could be out in December.
It's that right there,
Okay, let me rephrase this. Hang on. There's people misunderstanding me. I'm not saying if the movie gets backed up that it's a lie. I'm saying if they already have in the back of their mind that, no, we're going to release this thing in December, but let's tell everybody we're going to release it in May, that is a lie. Make no mistake about it.
It's not unheard of, though.
Lie.
Like, things like that happening in Hollywood is just, like, part of the game sometimes, although I don't think they do it unless they had a good strategic reason why. Here, I can't see why they would do that.
To shut up the people who are complaining about no May releases for Star Wars?
But that's a small portion of people.
It
and
is,
it doesn't
but
matter.
it's probably a very vocal portion. I imagine they're getting a lot of mail about it.
Truthfully, I'll be completely coy with you. I mean, it's all the way contracts are drawn up and the way things are said legally. I don't think. I think more importantly, what they were coming out and saying was, look, we're not pushing all of our movies back to December. That's not what we're intending. That's not what's going on. Just because episode 7 prior and episode 8 now has been pushed back does not mean that every Star Wars movie is going to be backed up to December. I mean, I think they're just trying to say, hey, we're not necessarily following that trend. Now, the one thing that you did point out, though, that you did say, that does leave the door open, barring any setback. Yep. Did they outline to them what a setback is? And, because if they didn't, then they can all honestly come out and say, oh, well, this happened, we're pushing it back to December, and they're no longer lying, quote unquote. And I don't think they are, and I don't think that, and I don't think that episode 8 being pushed back was, oh, they're plotting to take over December, try to take over the box office again. No, I don't think that. I think they're just trying to, truthfully, episode 7 got a lot of love, got a little bit of hate, but got mostly love. And the little bit of hate that it got were, to be honest with you, I hate to say it like this, probably some trolls. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's what a large percentage of it probably was. Not saying that if you had a beef with it or that you didn't like it, that you're a troll, but I think you get where I'm coming from on that. But I think they figure, you know what? Let's put a little extra time into episode 8 and do this right. We'll make sure that it's everything that returning fans from episode 7 want to see. And I think that's what all this is about. I don't think it's about, much else than that.
If I had my way, I'd say cancel the whole friggin' film altogether. Young Han Solo film's terrible. Not saying I'm not going to like the movie, but hate the idea of recasting. Anyways, let's move on. Speaking of delays, a lot of people had penned the Visceral project for a release this year. Turns out, we're talking the video game, by the way, the rumored Han Solo video game, although no confirmation on that whatsoever. Turns out, according to one of the heads at EA, this game, at the very earliest, is a year plus away, and more than likely 2+ years away still. So, Mondo and I talked about this the other day briefly, but Mondo, fair to say we're looking at a holiday season 2017, or more than likely a 2018 release for this game?
Yeah, we are. But, to be fair, a lot of people pen release dates for games based on, what they think is the average production time for a game. They're not necessarily anything concrete, anything solid. just kind of, based on history and statistics, it takes this long to produce a game.
The Division is proof of don't, predict when games are coming out because, bleep happens.
Be wrong.
Well, yeah, but in all fairness, nobody had anything posted, anything concrete about this. So I don't really call it much of a delay, more as if I call it we actually have more information.
Oh, no, yeah, it's not an official delay. Just a bunch of sites, including IGN, had predicted that the game would be out holiday season 2016. And from your and I conversation this week, reading the report from EA, it looks more like it's a 2018 game than a 2016 game, which is probably a good thing, I must state.
So I just want to point that out for our listeners and our fans that this isn't necessarily a delay, more or less we actually have a more idea of when to officially expect the game. Would kind of be a better way to look at it. I mean, then it's the video game industry is really finicky, and what I mean by that is look at the Division. Okay, look, it's been in production for years now, and looks like we're finally a couple months away from getting it.
That thing was supposed to be out at one point a launch title, and then after that a Christmas title of that year, and we're now in 2016, and we're finally going to get the game. Yeah,
but look at another game, Far Cry Primal was just announced 3 months ago, and it comes out next week. Go figure, right?
Well, I think they did the right thing, though. Let's wait till we have most of the game done, then announce it, and then
exactly
almost like the what's that movie Abrams and company are doing?
It's called
Cloverfield.
The Cloverfield sequel. Yeah. Anyway, though, we have to move on. We have a bit of a short show today. Rogue One's done filming, guys. So, needless to say, any information coming out about Rogue One in terms of, well, this person might be casted to be in the film, and no. If there's a report that's out, the film's already done shooting. So if that person's in it, they've already been casted. They're not thinking about getting casted.
Unless they're already talking about a Rogue One sequel that we don't know about. But no, I don't.
Rogue 2.
Get out of my head.
And yes, the possibility of them maybe running into somebody and doing reshoots is very unlikely. I mean, you don't see it very often. So I would, if you see anything about casting rumors, I would discard them very unless they're. I mean, they could be.
Wait, are you trying to? I was going to say something. I'm not going to do that though.
I mean,
save my butt.
I mean, I guess they could. Some of the rumors could be this person's in this movie, and it's a secret, and we weren't supposed to know until they showed up on screen. That were discovered on the cutting room floor. But I'm excited about Rogue One, though. I think it's going to be a truly different experience of a Star Wars film that we see in theaters. And at first, I was really worried about it. It's kind of like, not really sure I'm on board with this idea. But the more I think about it, the more I mature to it, the more I like it.
Oh, Bob Iger seems to love what he's seeing. Although at the same time, what's he going to say? It's terrible.
Yeah, I hated it. It's awful.
Yeah.
Don't go see it. We don't.
Yeah,
need to that bad.
Yeah, that's a terrible salesperson. Oh man, don't go see this movie. Please.
Yeah, turns out we crapped the bed with this. You don't want to see it.
Go to the next one.
That's why they do embargoes until the day of release, guys.
Yeah. Let's move on, though. The last topic in the HoloNet for today is apparently our good friends at the Star Wars Underworld and at Making Star Wars and at Star Wars Newsnet and Harloff and Company all seem to be reporting that there's a rumor going around that the Star Wars Rebel season finale will be a 1 hour finale. You guys' thoughts on this, considering spoiler alert, everybody.
Oh, I can tell you what I think of it.
Spoiler alert. Apparently that's where we're going to see Vader versus Ahsoka.
See, that I'm not going to say it pisses me off, but I have a hunch this may end up turning into one of those 1 hour film type things.
I don't think it will because it's at the end of a season. I think it'll be like what Smallville had at the end of theirs, and it'll be like 21 part 1, 22 part 2.
Well, let's see. I hope you're right, because I'm in the process of trying to get Rebels on Blu-ray or DVD, and it really sucks that they did not include Spark of the Rebellion in it. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's separate, right?
Yeah, and they're one of the few, honestly, they're one of the few television shows that I've seen that did not include it in there.
Yeah.
Or, that included something like that in there. So
Disney was liking that cash grab.
It seems to be a bit of a going trend for things like that, because even in the last few years, Doctor Who has gone that route as well. Yeah, the Christmas special always used to be included on the following season as, season blank.
Oh, it's a chance to make a couple extra bucks.
Exactly. If you can make a few extra bucks, why the heck not?
Buy a couple extra bucks.
Doctor Who's that British show, Sean?
Never heard of it. Who?
That sci-fi. Never mind.
Anyways, now it's time for The Outer Rim, which we won't have our classic format since I believe there's only 3 topics to talk about, so we'll just touch all 3 of them. We have the Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens telling the story in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So I've seen a couple of posts out there over the last week, even a report, that people are a bit worried about this, considering it would be apparently canon. Guys, how much do you want to see in between 6 and 7? Because they're going to want to leave some stuff open. You want them to just fill it all up in a Lego game?
I want airtight. I want it. Well, no. Oh, in a Lego game.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's the whole point. No,
I'd much
in a
rather
Lego
see
game.
a novel series.
Definitely. No, I mean just canon in general, like novels, comic books, games, whatever. Fill it up. But with the Lego game, I think some key things. Maybe not delving into it too much. Just leave it open to be explored, I guess, by other things, but make it fun for the Lego game. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's going to be cool, I think, whatever they do.
Fizz?
Oh, it's a Lego game. I want them to pack as much as they can into that sucker.
Well, are Lego games known for doing that?
They are. They are, but you got to be careful how much you pack in into it, though.
Yeah.
Since they're apparently canonizing it. I mean, I don't want to see everything revealed in a Lego game. That would be terrible, honestly, on Disney's behalf to allow that to happen. Give us one story with a couple of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
A longer story, but let's tell a story in between 6 and 7.
Kanji Club Origins.
Yes, starring Ben Hart.
Yes.
I think that might flop.
Now.
All right. So, rumors been cycling around here that there's a chance we might see Revan. Revan from the Old Republic in Star Wars Rebels. Now, I wouldn't put a ton of stock into this. At the same time, it was already a shoo-in to happen at the Clone Wars, during the Clone Wars with Dave Filoni. And being that Star Wars Rebels is going to be bringing some of the Old Republic stuff into play here in the second half of the season, one has to wonder, how likely is it that we could see Revan in Rebels? Obviously some sort of vision or ghost. Fizz, you've been following the Old Republic series, Knights of the Old Republic, etc., for a very long time. Given that this was definitely supposed to happen for Clone Wars, but unfortunately was canceled, how do you feel about this, and should they do it?
Don't change his name.
Yeah.
Don't change anything, and I'm happier than a fat kid with a cake.
That's like when Thrawn appears. Don't name him General Apple Macintosh.
Because that's their second choice.
I was gonna go with Ron, but okay.
Prawn.
Nobody's going to care if the blue guy and all of his tactics are in it if you rename the guy. That's, there's a lot of pissed off people about Korriban being Morriban, me being one of them.
Right? I mean,
There was no reason whatsoever to do that other than, hey, let's do this for the sake of doing it.
poops and giggles.
Honestly, I'm still kind of on the bandwagon of just name it Cinnabon just for the marketing.
Cinnabon.
Well, we know where Mondo's home planet would be.
Yeah. That's all I have to say. Just rename it Cinnabon.
Great input, Mondo.
Marketing genius.
Jake, how do you feel? Revan and Rebels.
Why not? I don't know that much about Revan. I know.
You're fired.
Just like Thrawn. But
now you're really
why
fired.
not? I would be indifferent. I need to know more about the character to know the full weight of why he's so cool.
Wow, honestly, I don't know a whole lot about him, but I know the full weight of him.
Oh,
Well,
man.
he single-handedly brought to bear an army that crippled the Republic.
Well, there
which
you
was
go.
only
I don't know
salvaged
about
by-
single-handedly.
Well, okay, he had an ancient Starforge at his beck and call.
He had a couple
And Malik.
Well,
And
Malik
the fact
was
they
more
were
a
doing the
hindrance.
Emperor's
If he
deed.
didn't have Malik, he takes over the galaxy.
But he doesn't.
But
'Cause
that's
it
only
turned-
because he still had his partner.
But he doesn't. What
legal.
of the Revan book are you not remembering?
No, I realized that they were
It
all
turns out-
brainwashed
yeah.
and turned to the Emperor's bidding. But I mean, if he doesn't have Malik stab him in the back in that battle, then he wins and he takes over the galaxy.
And then, yeah.
And
We'll have to
then
talk-
maybe he remembers the Emperor and decides to go take his part of the galaxy too. I don't know. Or
Good
maybe
luck
the
with that.
Emperor stands up and says,
Because
"Okay, thanks for that."
as we've seen, that didn't turn out too well for Revan.
Well, that's because he tried to do it himself. If he had done it when he still had the Starforge, might have been a little different.
Considering what I've seen in Knights of the Fallen Empire, Revan was pretty much screwed.
Probably.
But
Probably, but again, didn't have a Starforge, and that thing is, an instant factory for, ships and weaponry.
I definitely will not argue that point.
Okay, Ben brings up an interesting point. Would bringing him in fundamentally change the character?
I don't see why anything would change the character. It's 3,500 years ago.
I agree with you. I don't,
Is that canon anymore?
Well, just bringing him in pretty much makes his
make it
back.
canon. Jacob.
Make
And-
it canon.
I mean, there's no reason to not make it canon. That's the big thing. Is
History
there's
is history.
Well,
It's
that's
history
easier
for a reason.
said than done.
I mean, they've already dabbled.
Everybody can go. There's no reason not to make Legends canon.
Well,
Okay,
yes,
but
but they've already
there's a
dabbled
difference with this.
in the Old
Knights of the-
Republic.
the Old Republic
Bane.
is already going. Yeah, the Old Republic's already going on, and Bane's in there, and the fact they keep releasing new additions to the Republic, the Old Republic games, and there's not supposed to be any new releases that aren't canon. Whenever you ask someone about the Old Republic, other than the novels, the answer seems to be we don't really know right now. It's sort of sitting in this unknown area of in between Legends and in between canon, and even more so now, as we'll find in the second half of Rebels. So I apologize for the cat. If I kill the cat on air, I apologize.
Don't do that. We'd end up with PETA on our butts. We don't need that.
I could go for a PETA right now.
Not the food, the people for the ethical treatment of animals.
Oh,
Eh.
you mean people eating tasty animals?
Gotcha.
That's a different PETA.
If someone
But
wants
no,
to come eat my cat right now, I think I'd be open to it.
I mean,
Peter from Hunger
anybody.
Games.
So I'm going to throw this out there. So and I know this is a little off topic, but I thought of this. People complain about Legends and why not make it EU, because some of the stories that happen in Legends and in the EU, truthfully, would have fundamentally changed the storyline of Episode 7. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, some of the stuff in Legends, absolutely. A lot of the stuff. But in terms of the Old Republic, none of it.
Exactly. So that's what I'm ultimately getting at is, so if it doesn't fundamentally change the overall story that everybody knows from the movies, then I say just bring it all in. And I do, and that's why I reset the EU, because so much, I'm gonna say not so much of it, but most of the movie going fans knew about Star Wars would have been so different when they went in to see Episode 7.
Alrighty, let's move on to the last topic of the Outer Rim. Anybody who hasn't seen the How It Should Have Ended, by the way, the work that these guys do, I've been watching them for years, several years now, is incredible. Specifically, their Super Cafe stuff.
Oh, those are great, yeah.
The Super Cafe stuff is the best. But they have done now a How It Should Have Ended for Star Wars The Force Awakens, pardon me, which McMahon is so kindly going to play for us all right
You're going to have to
now.
give McMahon a moment to, get a browser back open and get that sucker up there, because,
I will say,
when everything
McMahon was
freezes in your
warned.
browser because you open up that window, it's like, oh crap, don't die.
When I first watched this, I was pretty tired, so I'm going to see if it's different now that I'm only half as tired as I was before.
I think it's hilarious. Well, enjoy, everybody.
Okay, with some small talk here, because it's going to take us to get this browser back open and get the page back up.
Apparently, McMahon's running on bicycle internet or his computer in the 19s.
It's quite that old.
From the 1980s.
So why he's bringing that up? A moment ago, you said Apple Macintosh. Now, I don't know.
This really where we're going for the small talk?
Hold on. Yeah, because it actually just does have a point. Back in the 90s, maybe it was even closer to the earlier 2000s, there was actually a Disney movie where the main character's name was Apple Macintosh.